Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Reconvene Sessions. I'm sure people are still joining, but I'm going to kickstart and hopefully everyone will be coffee in hand, ready to go. We're so happy to see you all in this virtual room. Like you, we really can't wait to hear from some of our amazing event creators today. My name is Amy Martin. I'm the content manager for the UK and Ireland. And I'm joining you from Cork City today, where it is cloudy, as usual, but nice and bright. Events Reconvene Sessions event series was really created to help empower event organisers like yourselves to continue to learn what's new and what's next in our industry. And this session comes with a bit of a twist, which I will explain. It's actually a mix of a live and a recorded experience. So I'm live here today, but instead of hosting the panel discussion with our three creators, Mooch of Vauxhall Comedy Club, Giles of Neon Naked Life Drawing, and Joe of the White Horse, live here today, I actually sat down with them a few days ago to talk through their top tips for maintaining and reaching their event audiences. And we're going to actually air the recording very shortly. I think you're going to really enjoy it. But the reason we did that is so that all three panelists could join us live today in the chat and answer all your questions in real time. So a huge thank you again to Mooch, Giles, and Joe for joining us today in the chat and being on hand to field any questions as the panel discussion unfolds on screen. So you're basically getting interaction with them in real time, which we hope you enjoy. So in order to participate in the chat today, you'll need to create a YouTube channel. If you haven't done this already, it's extremely straightforward. It only takes a few seconds. All you need to do is follow the prompts on YouTube. And for those who are logged in, let's all say hi to each other and to our three panelists. Let us know where you're joining us from, what you're looking forward to hearing about most in this session, and anything else you want to share, really. And also feel free to connect with one another in this chat. We have creators joining from across the UK and Ireland, and there's a wealth of knowledge in this virtual room. So please connect with each other, ask questions, find out more. The chat, of course, will be monitored and any harassment of any kind will not be tolerated. And all of this content will be posted with closed captions after the event on our YouTube channel. So today's topic is it's a big one, event marketing. We go into this in a lot more detail during our panel discussion coming up shortly, but it is something that represents a challenge for a lot of event organisers, I think now more than ever. The world has opened back up and event organisers are not only looking to reconnect with their older attendees, but also they want to grow their events by reaching a new community of attendees. And all three of our panelists have noticed a shift in their typical attendee over the last few years, not surprising. And in our conversation, we explore really the power of pivoting. So learning new digital marketing skills, testing new strategies, taking risks, getting outside of your comfort zone, and ultimately finding those people and communicating with them in the most impactful way for your event. These three creators have worked hard to understand and to reach their target audience. And we really hope that by the end of this event, you have a better idea of how you will get to know and reach yours too. So let's get started. Notepads at the ready. I hope you have a hot coffee by your side. Sit back and enjoy hearing from our three panelists about how they have tackled event marketing in this new world. I'm here today to talk all things marketing and community building with a panel of fantastic event creators who host a very diverse mix of events across the UK and Ireland. Before I introduce you to our panel, I wanted to give some background on this event and why we really wanted to dig into this topic in particular. Now that events programs are back up and running, finally, event organisers are navigating a whole new world when it comes to reaching audiences, both old and new, and growing their events again. Some event organisers may discover that they have a whole new type of attendee to market to, perhaps someone who was attending their virtual events during lockdowns and now wants to be part of the live event community again. Or maybe they may discover on the other end of the spectrum that they're struggling to reconnect with those older, loyal attendees for whatever reason, maybe due to a drying up of comms over the last couple of years while events weren't running. Or maybe this whole new world means having to adjust to new ways of reaching attendees, finding them in new places, and using newly acquired marketing skills to drive engagement and ultimately those very important ticket sales. However, the event marketing landscape has changed for you. We hope that this conversation will leave you with lots of tips, advice, and some great stories to take with you as you go forward and grow your own events in this new world. So enough from me, let's meet our panelists. First up, we have Mooch, the king of Vauxhall Comedy Club in London. Mooch has been an events promoter for just over 20 years, and he started off when he was at university. Later moved into dance music event promotion and has more recently shifted to the comedy scene in London. In 2019, he set up Vauxhall Comedy Club, which now runs 8 weekly events across 7 days a week. We next have Giles Navarro, the founder of Neon Naked Life Drawing. The idea developed from a background in fashion, which I think is quite evident from your wonderful background. Specializing in alternative knitwear, Giles then created in other areas such as performance, installation and film, and has recently graduated from an MA in Art and Science from Central St. Martin's. And finally, all the way from Cork, where I am too, we have Joe Carey, who's the owner of the White Horse. Joe's also an established musician and hosts events for all types of musical acts in a really intimate and interactive space, with a nod at all times to the power of audience connection. So we're super excited to have the three of you with us today. I think it would be really nice at this point in the conversation to sort of set the scene for our audience. So can you briefly tell us a bit more about your events, how they got started, where you host them, how frequently, and I suppose really importantly, how they were impacted by the last couple of years and how they survived it? Joe, I'll go to you first for this one.
Yeah, so thanks, and I'm really delighted to be here and lovely to be on this panel of highly creative people. So we're a small venue, very much like the folk clubs of old that would have been widespread in London and Dublin and even into New York and places. So it's a small room, it's a black box room, and our job really is to make the barrier between the audience and the artist as less as possible, and to really highlight that connection. There was a lovely old phrase from a venue in Cork years ago, a very influential one, called The Lobby, and it's called a listening venue. And we hope and aspire to that. We hope to be a listening venue too. We've been going around 13 years, and we've had all sorts of artists, internationally, national artists of acclaim, some lovely festivals, and mostly the thing that we cherish is that connection between the audience and the artist, as I say. A very challenging couple of years, obviously, and what we found is that we have to really almost rethink it again to go back to the start, even pre-start. And we've had enormous challenges reaching our audiences, and I'm sure we'll chat about that later. But I think it's also given us lots of green shoots and lots of possibility to be better, to literally present our shows and to make the connection stronger than ever before. So we love what we do. It's where our passion lives in the business. We also have a bar and restaurant, and that's equally challenging and more challenging these days. But really our heart lives upstairs in the music venue. So it's the place where we get to express ourselves and to see expression on a daily basis. So it's a wonderful place.
Amazing. Giles, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Hey guys. So I'm Jill. I do Neon Naked Life Drawing all over London, lots of different locations. I do about, say, and every week's completely different, but I do about, say, 4 classes a week, and usually a lot of them are doubles, so it's 2 events a night. It's not like a big event, it's about 30 people capacity sometimes really small, but that's also great as well. And I'm like the main person, so I run it, and I buy all the stuff, and I book the models in, and I sort out the venues, and I do everything. So I'm like both sides of everything. So I do everything for the I guess we call it a company or an event. I've been doing it for about 5 years now. I'm completely self-employed with it, and survived through the lockdown, which was quite tricky at times because we were kicked out of all the venues, and a lot of the venues closed down over the time because I was in multiple venues at the same time. But yeah, it's great, and it's all about color and people expressing themselves, and I get lots of different people coming to the class, lots of like normal people who haven't drawn since school. So it's really fun to see how people like enjoy it and how they experience it, and just how they enjoy the UV and all the color. Really, it's all about the color, really. Yeah, so that's that really.
Thanks, Jill.
Yeah, I'm Mooch, and I run Vauxhall Comedy Club, which started off just as an open mic night back in the day. We grew that. We work basically in a nightclub room, so it's very similar to Joe's sort of thing. We also try and create a listening venue so that it is basically the audience, a light, a mic, and the comic. We have grown into a 7-day-a-week venue. and it's been challenging for sure over the last sort of 2 years. We were just getting some momentum, and then we had a bit of a lockdown. Over the lockdown, we kind of had a bit of a rethink about things, and came back, sort of hit the ground running, and things have gone really quite well, in spite of a lot of things. We've had some support from the venue, and we are in a good position now moving forward. Thank God. And yeah, it's interesting sort of period of time at the moment. Hopefully light at the end of the tunnel for a lot of people.
Yeah, the green shoots that Joe mentions hopefully are becoming evident to more people as time passes. And I think, a lot of people dialed into this event will be, looking to kind of relate to one or the other of you, as we've spoken about before. So it actually, I think, would be really useful for people to know who your typical attendee is, and if they've changed at all as the world has opened back up. Yeah, Mooch, I might go to you for this one, because I know that you mentioned to me before that people started attending your events who had never been interested in comedy before after lockdowns lifted.
Yeah, and some still aren't after attending it. So it's kind of we had a lot of office workers, because we are kind of attached to like a food market sort of thing. So we were able to sort of catch a lot of people from that. They haven't returned in the same sort of numbers at the moment. People are sort of working from home a lot more, maybe doing 2-3 days in the office. So we kind of, but it also allowed us to sort of, the lockdown allowed us to sort of rethink our marketing, because it was all a bit sort of just living by the seat of our pants, trying to get people in. When we had a bit of a break, we were able to sort of stop, plan things, launch it. And because people hadn't been out in a while, we were able to sort of go, okay, cool, look, comedy is a great option for something to do midweek, low impact. You're not going to be out till 5 in the morning, and you can come Monday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, any night.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
We've got more people. I think at first it was a lot more office workers. Now it's probably we've kind of piqued people's interest in comedy as an alternative night to go out to, whereas they may have gone to like a club night or something like that. Whereas during the pandemic, that wasn't an option. So we might have sort of pulled a few people over into a different night out.
Amazing. I was going to say, I think, that sense of safety that people kind of craved, particularly when lockdowns first lifted. I suppose something like a comedy event makes people maybe feel a bit safer than they would do, like crammed into a nightclub. So yeah, that's probably definitely filtered down. Joe, do you want to tell us a bit about your typical attendee at the White Horse?
Yeah, so I mean, we're located in a suburb, so that does inform, I guess, the sort of the profile of the audience attendee at the basic level anyway. Typically our music, I suppose, genres would be folk or trad, alt folk, things like that. So I guess that's reflective again of the attendees. What we're finding obviously is that the audience now is very fractured and frayed and a little bit damaged from the trauma of the last couple of years, and I'm not sure about the UK, but certainly in Ireland it was a fairly intense lockdown period, and almost a fairly devastating event to the structure of the industry here. So what we found is that people are really slow to tiptoe back into it. I know I have a lot of peers, and we happily formed a live venue collective over the course of the last 2 years, and the feedback nationally, even at the today, is that ticket sales are very, very slow, and audiences are still reticent to come back in the big numbers. So what we've done is just very, I guess, we're almost scaling up to events. We started doing 40 max capacity, then 80, now we're doing 100 at the weekend, so we're building it slowly. We're trying to keep the audience's health and safety in mind, so we are spreading the venue and not packing it as we would have before. And even the artists are finding it a little bit challenging. They're possibly not as gig sharp as they used to be. So there's a lovely nervous energy at the start of every show. The overwhelming thing at the end of it is this sense of love and community and connection that's more profound than ever before. So that's really for sure. So Yeah, I think, look, what we feel is that we are dreaming it up again to some extent. The audience will come, but it will take a little time to lead it by the hand back.
Okay. Giles, have you noticed a change in your typical attendee?
Yeah, I have to agree with both you guys. Like, so firstly, like, I used to do a lot of stuff in East London, which is mainly a lot of office workers, like around Liverpool Street area, and that used to be like one of my busiest times as in that area before lockdowns. And now I find that area quite quiet, especially in the week, like Monday to Wednesday. That area is like super, like just quiet. But on the weekends, it's very, very busy. It's a completely different crowd. You get a lot of people coming in from like Kent or Essex coming in for the weekend, wanting to like party, and it's just like it's completely changed. Like I guess the demographic or the classic kind of attendees you would normally get, which is good. But you just have to like recognize that and just like think, okay, how can I pull them into my event, basically. And also, like, say during the week now, I get a lot more busier classes in like maybe South London, in like localized areas such as like Peckham or Clapham, where people maybe have been living in the area, working from home, and then go out afterwards, maybe. So it's kind of like the opposite effect, like not being in the office but now working at home and going out afterwards, like more closer to where they live. That's definitely more of a thing. Yeah, and also I get like busy one-off events like here and there, but on a regular basis, the overall attendance is a lot lower, like maybe like half or so. But like you do get the busy one-off events here and there, but then there was like the regular, trying to keep it going every week. It can be a lot slower than it used to be.
Okay. So it's obvious then from all three of your answers really that there are challenges. Like obviously the last couple of years threw up so many challenges to everyone personally, but in terms of the events landscape, like we're still coming up against that difficulty with reaching audiences and making them feel either safe enough or enthusiastic enough to come back to that live event experience. There have been silver linings though, I think. We speak with a lot of event creators and they do talk about, the upskilling, the kind of, increase in their technical innovation, the things they can do now that they would never dreamed of, 3 years ago, because they really had to, it was either bring your events online or park your events for, an inevitable amount of time. So, Joe, I know you really did kind of dive in really to the virtual event experience, something that was very new to you. Could you tell us a bit about how you like upskilled and the types of, I suppose, DIY skills that you think you've picked up over the last couple of years?
Yeah, it was a remarkable time really, because set against the backdrop of things shutting down, your skill set had to be opened up and fully open to new things. But very, very quickly, as I said, all the venues in Ireland, especially at the grassroots level, the small and medium-sized venues came together early, about 2 years ago, over 2.5 years ago almost, and we sought help from the government, and the government, thankfully, the Department of Culture granted that help and gave us, I suppose, the platform to start reimagining our venues. So the very first thing we did in a complete lockdown in December 2020 was we ran a series of 27 shows that were filmed in the venue to no audience and broadcast later, which was a remarkable event, scary. We had a crew of about 5 of us who were literally doing things for the first time and learning on the job. But again, it was just amazing to see how the artist responded in an empty room with the potential of far more people seeing it. It was remarkable how people viewed those little nuggets and those little treasured hours into their living room as a sort of solace and light, again, against the backdrop of a lot of darkness. And we got huge feedback, and thankfully people were really responded so well to it. And everything we learned in that 27 series of shows, and we called it songlines, from the Aboriginal concept of in Dreamtime, when the world was sung into existence, and essentially if you know the song, you know how to travel and know how to connect. So we kind of very much used that theme, as this was the first stepping stone in a series of stepping stones to reconnect with each other. And ever since that, we've used the same skills in those 27 shows to do further and I suppose increasingly attended shows. But we've also looked at our black box room possibly in a new way than ever before. We view it now as a TV studio, as a recording suite, as a place for a jazz setting with candles on tables, or rows of seats for one-man shows, for comedy. So we've just redrawn it. It's literally like we've had a white page and we started again, and it's very liberating, still very scary. We still know loads, we don't know loads, we're still making tons of mistakes, but it's really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Mooch, what about you? Do you think you've kind of learned like new ways to reach people and engage people over the last couple of years?
Well, first of all, Joe, that sounds amazing. Like, you sold that. Like, it's like I feel like I regret that I didn't do as much in the lockdown, because I felt that, bro. Like, we took a break from it and just sort of used the lockdown as a time to sort of gather. Lots of people were doing online comedy. I think it's slightly different to sort of music. Because you kind of need that instant reaction. Lots of people did well with it, especially podcasters. They kind of went to the next level with the lockdown stuff. We were in a position where we were looking to film stuff anyway, just before the lockdown happened. We were in our infancy, and it was one of the things we thought was a USP. So we definitely implemented that after. We don't really do live streaming and stuff like that. It's more just we record everything, edit it down, and release it on our socials, and it's been really, really good. It's kind of like a little taster of the comedy club. We try and distill the jokes down to 60 seconds, which is hard, but it's kind of what people want. Everything is just such a short attention span online. Everything is 60 seconds or less. It's frustrating, but just the way things seem to be going. As far as like building community and stuff like that, there's definitely a community around the comics that kind of I felt overflowed into the audience. And when we're sharing comic sort of clips, they're sharing it to their audience as well. So that kind of kept us front of mind for a lot of people. We were doing things like email marketing and sort of asking people questions a lot. So that's something else that we were kind of trying to just keep in our customers' minds with, asking them what they felt comfortable with and what they didn't, and trying to implement that when we were allowed to come back under some, next set of rules that changed every single week. But yeah, we kind of had a break, sort of assessed, and then hit the ground running with some new technologies, which was mostly just recording the bits, clipping it down, animating it, and subtitling, which it's an ask, but has been fruitful.
It's worked. Amazing. How about you, Giles? Any new skills that you picked up in terms of reaching new audiences?
Yeah, again, a lot of video, a lot of editing. I actually edited a whole music video or two in lockdown. I just learned how to do it, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do a music video because my friends were musicians, and I edited the whole thing. And you have to edit super quick. Same with like any Instagram posts or reels or TikToks or anything like. Everything has to be like short and quick and snappy and attention seeking. And you have to really focus on what is that clip and what is it saying to the audience, and is it necessary, and all this kind of stuff. So it's about like filming those and cutting it down to a very small piece of, get it in the face basically. I also did some online classes. That was really good. I had a nice community there, and I did some free classes every Monday. Whereas one of my latest attendees, she actually came to one of the live classes and said she actually met her partner in one of my online classes, which was nice.
Amazing.
We did it like every week, so it's like a free class every week where I just found images of my past or videos of my past classes, and just we all drew together, and I taught like different ideas, and it was a nice like get together every Monday online on Zoom. I did some like groups as well for like schools. Like I did some like just for like colleges where they were at home or the students were at home, so I taught them as well. But the UV lights, which I work with, like there's one here, but you can't see to the sunlight. But it doesn't really work that well on the computer cameras, so it overexposes quite a lot. So I couldn't really do anything live. So I did pre-record all my models, which took ages because it's like 10-minute poses. So there's a lot of like 8-minute, 10-minute poses all on these big hard drives in my other room. And but this was after the first lockdown as well, because we weren't allowed to come over for the first bit. But when we were allowed to meet people, I got one model from them, and I filmed a few models. And from that, I was doing live classes for the second lockdown. So that, like where I was teaching live, but via like a live idea of a recorded model. So it's kind of like the music, but there's like people like literally being still on video, which is quite a strange concept, but it worked. It worked for the time. Yeah, it was really good. Nice to talk to people anyway and teach.
Yeah. I feel like you've set the scene perfectly for my next question, actually, because I did want to ask you all about that kind of personalized way of communicating that I think really works now as a marketing tool, maybe more so than ever. And Giles, I know, as well as telling that really lovely story about two of your attendees actually meeting at your event, I know you spoke before about like encouraging your online attendees to share their work with each other and then actually allowing them to become a community when the live events open back up. Can I ask kind of all three of you to give, I suppose, advice on how to personalize your communications, because I think it's something that is hard to do in an authentic way. And I think with the rise of video marketing, maybe Mooch, which you've already referenced, that feels like the kind of right format to start being more personal and more kind of DIY.
Yeah, I mean, so we've done some marketing assets that are kind of low budget, because sometimes when things are super high budget, it kind of just looks super glossy and people, you know, don't take it on as much. So like one of these is almost all you need. You can film something to camera like this. We've done adverts where it's kind of just talking to someone as if you are talking to them, and that seems to have worked really well, rather than a traditional, you know, produced advert that is, you know, lots of transitions and stuff, especially on Instagram and TikTok, just with the stories, because it's kind of like what someone else, what in their followers would be delivering. Email marketing as well is something that we have kind of upped our game a little bit with. We kind of just had the emails and then just sent them out. When we took a bit of time, when we had time, you know, in between the sort of periods we were allowed to trade, we upskilled on our sort of email knowledge, and we're, you know, putting in people's names and stuff like that, so that it came in the subject line or in the body of the text with their name, and that increased the open rates and stuff like that. Not something we did in the lockdown, but something we've done after, is introduced like a loyalty scheme. So, you know, if people like, we're just trying to get people to come back and get comedy into their weekly routine or monthly routine. And the loyalty card, we've put a really strong offer on that, and we're seeing people come back almost keen to just complete the loyalty card, which is great, because then they're coming down and enjoying some free comedy, and they get a drink if they come X amount of times. And yeah, I think that's that. And the guys that we hire, we're making sure that they are friendly, and that's one thing that I'm, as a boss, as a king, have really tried to sort of make sure that the reviews that we're getting, I want to see our guys being really friendly staff, so helpful, because that is something that sets the tone for the night. If someone is being dealt with in a rude way and they're not in a mood to laugh and enjoy the night, but if there's a little bit of crack, a little bit of a joke with someone who's doing the tickets, it puts them into a good mood and is more conducive to a great night. The comedians have an easier job.
Okay. So personalization the whole way through. How about you, Joe? In your marketing comms, how are you trying to ensure that personal approach?
Yeah, very similar in terms of a strategy to Mooch's there. I guess what we find is that the email marketing, you know, in other words, building the mailing list and ensuring that there's good call to action and reward. And we're finding it really, really effective, because obviously all of those people have been in the venue and are aware of it and understand what it feels like to be at a gig. But also, I suppose the video work we did, we were able to offer a lot of exclusives to them. And as we learned, first of all, in Songlines, it was 30-minute shows, and then we started doing smaller and shorter shows. So now we kind of release what we call corner lights, which are these small little 3-minute clips with a song, and then there might be 3 minutes of a quick rapid fire interview that has a bit of tongue in cheek in it. And all they are just little gems that land in the email inbox that make it more appealing to open, and people genuinely feel that there's something to get and gain from it. We obviously do a lot of early birds through the email marketing too, So people are getting the first crack at the whip or the first bite of the apple in terms of getting any tickets. So that's been really, really good. And I guess there's sort of something very organic about that style of marketing when you're marketing to someone who you know has been in the venue and has kind of feels the same in terms of our approach. And generally speaking, in terms of marketing, I feel building of the community in a non-contrived way is really, really important. We do that anyway in the venue. We've got a White Horse Guitar Club, which is drawn from the community. We've an 85-piece White Horse Gospel Choir. We've another guitar group starting next week. And what we find is once we get those people as sort of our little team and our tribe, that they go off and start building on our behalf. And we try to mimic and mirror that in the marketing we do online as well, which is a non-contrived and as organic as possible building of our audience, you know.
Word of mouth marketing, I think, is back with a bang because people couldn't do it for so long. So that's amazing that you've touched on that, Joe. And I think it's something that I think a lot of event marketers will be starting to think about more now that people are actually communicating in real life again. How about you, Giles? What are your kind of thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so I do a lot of like social media kind of posts. I do a lot of I do the mailing list thing. I personally don't really connect to mailing lists. I don't know, it just doesn't work for me as well. But I still do it just to like get it out there and push like the weekly events. And I try and make it really clear that I'm not like a big company. It's not like loads of me. It's just me. Everything just comes back to me. And I always say like, you know, it's Jill. Hey guys, you know, this is what's happening this week. And also like on social media, so an Instagram post, I always try and do like some posts off my phone. Because with my event, people are like, what is it? Like, what's it look like? What do you do there? Like, it's more like people just don't know what it looks like what's happening, or like, you know, it's a lot of questions about it because it's quite unusual. So I always try and make it like, you know, do like a few videos on my phone, like a reel kind of thing. And because it's on a phone quality, it's like, it's not as sharp, it's not as polished. But I think that's what people really want and what people will actually think, oh, that's on a phone, that's what it really looks like. So it's easier to connect to and easy to understand what's actually, you know, what it's actually all about. And also like during the class, it's all about like just like talking to people, like after the class we have a little show and tell. So I go and talk to everyone and everyone talks to each other and the models talks to everyone. So it's like, it's really good to like just chat to people and see how they feel and what they've been up to. And I get a lot of return customers, and I had a girl the other day, she said like she's been like 5 times, but every time she goes back to like work or home, she has another group of friends who are like, oh, welcome to that, I saw you did that thing. So she brings a different group of friends every time. So yeah, it's word of mouth is really important, and I think that's a really good way to just like spread the word basically, and just like one-on-one communication with people, just chatting to them. That's the best way to promote your event.
Okay. And when you're doing all these different like marketing strategies, I suppose, how are you analyzing that data? Like how specific are you getting with making decisions based on data? Mooch, do you want to take that one first?
Well, I mean, it's something that we're doing like now. I just want to point out when we started in 2019, it was literally just me. So there was no, it was just a one-man job. And as we've kind of, that's when I said, you know, we've come out of this a lot stronger. It's because we had like nothing beforehand. So it wasn't like, you know, it's been a benefit to us. But like now, just again, the time that we've had in between, we've kind of done a bit of marketing. There was a lockdown, so we were able to review what was going on. We kind of just upskilled our knowledge on sort of trying to figure out what our target audience is. What like we've researched and done some, you know, YouTube sort of education on what our customer avatar is, what their age is, what their job is, what do they do, what are their interests. And that's been really, really sort of insightful, because before we were just kind of like scattergun, you know, our marketing, we go like 18 to 45, whereas now we know it's kind of probably more beneficial to go 25 to 45, because 18-year-olds probably want to just go out and get drunk. They don't want to sit down and listen to comedy as much as someone who's 35 would. And also it just allows us to sort of get more out of our marketing budget. So like what we haven't done it yet, but we're going to be sort of doing surveys and asking our audience what their interests are, so that we can sort of put our marketing budget into the right social media channels, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Are they still on that? Twitter, should we bother with that? We've just kind of initially just stuck our finger in the air and went, I think that's right. And it kind of worked because we are kind of our target audience. But I think once we filter it down and focus more into what the new trends are, because TikTok wasn't as big in 2019 as it is today, and I think a lot of our audience is on there. But again, this is all just me guessing, because we haven't done those questions, I haven't spoken to them, and that's what you need to do.
Yeah, so basically gathering data and then using that data to create personas for your event, and then specifically kind of targeting them afterwards. That's really awesome.
And focusing on what marketing routes do you go down? Do you go down with the Google, or do you go with the TikTok or the Meta?
Where are they hanging out online?
Exactly.
That out, and then how about you, Giles? What's your strategy being?
So with anything, I always do reviews on my mail outs and stuff. You can get the things sent back to you, and also on your websites as well. Like who's looking at your websites and what links, is in your links. People clicked on your links and might say timeout or something, or Eventbrite, and it comes through that. Also, on any of my event pages, I link in my personal website and do it as a hyperlink, and do it on my mail outs as well. So you can write it down, but it's more a lot more clicks by just doing the links on everything. You just hyperlink as much as possible. Same with Instagram. I always do the link tree thing and put all my events on there, a big long list, there's loads, and just make it really, really easy and accessible for everyone to just be able to just say, after people don't want to do more than 2 clicks. I think it's if you can click on an image, which you've seen on Instagram, and click on the link, then that's about it. That's as far as they're going to go. And then they're you'll scroll through that. And mine is quite wordy, but you got to really choose your words right with it as well. Just have keywords everywhere, so it picks up on Google SEO. But I do review it. Last night, I was literally reviewing all my Eventbrite pages and going through it and rereading it all, because they had a lot of stuff about lockdown in it, which isn't really relevant now, I don't think. So I removed a lot of that and changed a few words around to make it more, modernize it in a way for people who would read it now and be more attracted to it. So always just keep reviewing all your stuff all the time. That's what I think is the best way to do it. Yeah.
Amazing. And Joe, how are you guys using data at the White Horse to influence what you do?
Well, I guess through our mailing list platform, we analyze all the click-throughs, etc. And one of the obvious and sort of immediate things we see is obviously tickets being sold. So that's a really, really great reflection on how it's penetrating the market. Our mailing list doubled in size for pre-2020. Over the 2 years, it actually doubled. So even though a mailing list is quite a traditional thing, we just view it as being really important, especially with the age profile of our audience. Just in terms of I guess we all feel the same in terms of noise. Social media noise is so many different platforms, and so many probably variations, and obviously Facebook is becoming very, very challenging even to reach your own audience. So we're just constantly working at it, constantly looking at Google Analytics, constantly reviewing how we use our tools in terms of Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, trying to get timings of posts correctly, assigning small budgets to things, varying the budgets to see can we get better results over time. So it's an ongoing process, and I don't know, have we arrived at the right solution yet? I think that we could get better at it. We always view ourselves as quite organic, or it's in person. So I think our challenge is really to transmit those messages now through all those various channels, and to get bang for our buck, to use the sort of crude marketing phrase,
One thing I just want to sort of add on to that is what we found is it's consistency is key. Consistency, it sounds horrendous to any sort of creative, but consistency over quality is almost what works with these godforsaken algorithms. Obviously, you want quality to be there at the best, but now is better than perfect. So it's kind of always just get something out. Don't worry about it being that little bit that if you're a perfectionist with this, and it stops you putting your output there regularly, you're not gonna succeed. Just make sure that I had a fellow comic friend who's doing really well on his socials, and he put it quite bluntly. It's frustrating because you're just literally feeding meat into the grinder. You're going to have a base level of everything, and then every now and again something is going to peak and go viral, and that's how you're going to accumulate followers. Because they're going to come to your page, see that you've got lots of content there, and that's how they follow. It's the way that these things work, which is counterproductive to how comedians or artists or musicians want to do. They don't want to put out crap, but you have to put out consistent.
Yeah, I think frequency of touch points is actually a very interesting area to be looking at the moment, because people have differing opinions on how often you should be communicating. Generally, how often do you guys communicate with your attendees between events, for example?
Well, we do a weekly email, which I suppose is the most I'd say intrusive sort of touch point, because it goes directly into their inbox. We've got SMS that we're going to start doing some bits with, but again, that's probably the most intrusive way, and I think that if you overdo those two, it can alienate your customers. So once a week with the emails. On the social media bits, we try and post 5-6 times a week, because we've got lots of content, we're filming everything, and it's just trying to stay on top of that. And not everyone gets that. It seems less intrusive when it's just coming up in their feed organically. And then we do some Eventbrite is actually great because there's some emails that can be built into the ticketing process. So they'll get a reminder email. You can set something up so that they get an email as soon as they bought a ticket, telling them things to do, and that's not from our email list. So it's kind of Eventbrite taking the hit on whether it's too intrusive or not. So we use that quite a bit, so that that we're not getting an unsubscribe if someone is upset that they're getting too many emails. And then again, we sort of follow up and ask for some reviews and feedback as well, which is another touch point that we've got. Maybe we've got too many, but again, it's something that we need to sort of experiment with before we find out what works.
And like asking for feedback as well from attendees and trying to figure out, like, is this too much? Anything from Joe or Giles on kind of frequency that Mooch hasn't covered off?
Well, I'd be similar, maybe a little less than Mooch, but pretty similar. And again, I definitely concur with the notion that the Eventbrite vehicle of getting to our attendees who are invested, they've bought the ticket, they're going, so they're like the best people in terms of connecting with. So we'd often send out four days before a show saying, by the way, we're a restaurant, if you don't know that, so why not book dinner beforehand, or and we find, much like Mooch has said, that people are very receptive to that, and Eventbrite have they're almost partnering with us on it. So it's not as if we are pushing that again. It's actually pushing the people who are already sold on the event. But yeah, similar in terms of that. We touch base maybe 2 or 3 times to an audience member attending a show.
Cool. Giles, anything to add?
Yeah, so I do the same thing. I do like a mailing list. I do it kind of spontaneously, like random here and there, because I'm not really sure what works for my the dates and the times for my mail outs. So I just kind of do it randomly and do it about random events and stuff, like what's happening next week, or let's do the specials or anything like that. And I just want to see what's going to happen with that. I do a lot of Instagram and Facebook posts. I was going to say, so in Facebook, you get the Facebook groups, like the local area group or something. And because I do it in lots of different areas, it's good to just post an event in that area. It's a lot of local groups, and they get a lot more feedback, or a lot of people will to comment on them more, or a lot more attention, just because it's more localized, I think. And they're really, really good to just get the Eventbrite link, post it on one of their groups, and then it gives an instant link back to the ticket site. So that really works for me quite well. So I do that quite a bit as well.
Okay. We've talked so much about like what attendees kind of, need and want in terms of engagement and in terms of the types of events you're running. But just to kind of close out this conversation, I'd love to hear from the three of you about how you're feeling about running events in this new world, because, I think a lot of event creators have thought about purpose in a different way and bringing people together in a different way. So just in brief from all three of you, just what it means, I suppose, how it's changed the way you think about running events now. Mooch, we'll go to you first for that one.
Well, there's always been a community within the comedy sort of scene. Like, comics hang around with comics, and it's great. I think I don't know if it's changed too much to how it was before. I just think I wouldn't say it's too much. That's why I love events, is because of the communities and the people that you meet. I've done it my whole life, and it's what I love is sort of, new customers, new faces, new people to sort of entertain and think about what is going to make them sort of go, wow, that was a great night. And thinking about their experience as a whole is something that I've always found rewarding. So I don't know if it's changed too much. I suppose there's just more things that you might need to consider in that, like, other people have different opinions on how they feel safe and how they feel, walking into a venue that might have, not be as clean or as ventilated and things like that. Saying that, there's definitely more scope for other events. Life changes. I didn't have a kid before the pandemic, so there's new baby comedy, which is something that I didn't even think was existing. Baby sort of drag shows and baby raves and stuff like that, which is great. Not for the comics, but for the people on watching it. It's great for just mums to meet up, or young parents to meet up, because they've kind of been starved of that. And I don't know if this did exist before, because I wasn't really listening to sort of baby focused events, but it definitely seems to be a lot more prevalent, and there's more things to do for young parents. So that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Giles, how has the pandemic made you think differently about the events you run?
The events have slightly changed. I mean, now I do like two events in one night, whereas I used to just do one big event with a big break in the middle. But so I just kind of stopped doing that, because some people wouldn't move around as much at the time after the lockdowns. They weren't allowed. But now that really works for me now. But yeah, a slightly different audience, but nothing too crazy. I don't really get as many like people like tourists coming to London as much, or like the office people again. But yeah, it's slowly building up. It's slowly going back to. I feel like I'm just going back to this normality and trying to going back to that point where it just feels like it didn't really happen. So I'm just trying to like fight to get to that point. And yet some people are a little bit like cautious. You got to make sure your venue's clean and it's a lot of space. I tend to use a lot more space than I did before as well. And yeah, just listen to people, just hear what they think, and just communicate. And if anyone's got any problems, just talk to them, see how you can fix it. And nearly everything can get fixed in the end, and it's all good. So just communication is really good, and just chatting to people. That's the main thing, I think.
Giles, do you do so one thing I just want to say, brunches just seem to have just gone crazy. Like, people love brunching now, because I don't know if it's just a day thing, but if I don't know if you do it, but do you do like a UV painting brunch or something like that?
I do. So once a month I do at Toulouse-Lautrec in Kennington. I do a Saturday afternoon class, and this Saturday we're doing it, and it's a hen party special. So it's a neon life drawing hen party special. So that's just gone. It's hen party season at the moment. It's just like every week, like 50 hen parties in my classes. So this week is going to be like a bit crazy, I think.
Yeah. I think that's something that would it just seems like that's something that brunchy people would love to do. It's a bit different, a bit quirky. Sorry.
But again, a lot of my venues are still not. Most of them are still not open on Saturday afternoon. So a lot of them are like,
really?
So a lot of them are still kind of a little bit slow to get into that as much, and a lot of them still want the evenings and still like the kind of quiet things on the evenings. So I'm always looking for new venues and trying to figure out what I can do with this venue, how I can use the space, and if I can do like a summer outdoor event or something. So always changing, always developing, always like trying to adapt to the space.
Joe, over to you for the final word. How has things?
Yeah, Mooch, we did an event 3 weeks ago where we had like 2 to 6 year olds was the market. It was a musical event from like 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and it was amazing. You know, the kids got so much out of it, and some of them had never seen live music, so it was really cool. And the parents just loved it because it's something different to do. So it's definitely something we're going to program more of. I think for us, like, we see the potential of the room rather than the limitations of it. And I think in the past, we probably looked at it as a small venue, like a 150 capacity place, but now we see it as a potential stage to the world in some ways. So there's real excitement in that for us. It's not without its challenge, but at the same time, I think the audience wants something that's tactile and visceral and that they want to experience it in person. And I don't think any video will ever replace that. So there's hope for live music, there's hope for live events. And I really believe that it will grow and the thirst is there for it. So, you know, we just have to maintain the course, you know.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much for being here this morning and having this conversation with me, and take care. Oh, I'd forgotten how much I enjoyed that conversation. A huge round of applause for our panel. Thank you all so much for taking the time to share your tips and experience with this audience, and for joining us live here today to answer questions as the conversation rolled on screen. I was monitoring the chat for a little while and I was really enjoying it. I had a lot of key takeaways from our conversation, but there are a few that have stuck with me over the last few days. Mooch's reference to persona building is a great one, for example, that idea of strategically getting to know your audience in more detail than you may have done before, and using that data then to reach them in the right places and in the right ways. Joe's flag of the importance of word of mouth marketing. This is something that myself and my colleagues spoke about a lot recently, especially in today's world, I think, where people are getting used to human connection again and are excited to share their experiences with others. There's a huge opportunity to really harness word of mouth marketing for your event. And Giles's reference of experimenting with DIY footage that resonates with her audience, promotional material that is authentic, less slick, and much more relatable. I think that's a key one to bring forward as well. So among many others, those are just 3 that I picked out of our conversation, and I'm really starting to think about them a lot more as we go forward. So keep an eye on our blog. You'd never know. These topics may just pop up there in the form of a guide or a template very soon. And thanks again for getting involved in the chat. It was just amazing to see all those questions, ideas, and comments roll in. I think the advice from our 3 panelists on getting started was particularly inspirational. Start small. Use your network to help you, your friends, your family. Aim to sell out that first event, no matter what size it is, and you'll have created that buzz that you need to keep going. And I actually think that's a great note to finish on. So to our audience, thank you all so much for joining us this morning. I hope you enjoyed it. While you're in the chat, we're going to post a survey link. We'd love to make these events better every time we host them. So please give your feedback. We'd really appreciate it. And we'll continue to improve and make these as useful as they can be for independent event creators like yourselves. If you plan on sharing your experience today on social, please use the hashtag Reconvene. We want to try and keep everything together, share the love, look at all your posts, and don't forget to follow us. Follow our organizer profile on the Eventbrite platform for more events, and follow us on social across Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. We're at Eventbrite on everything. Our moderators are going to be dropping some resources into the chat now. So if you want to take a look at those before you log off, you might find them useful. And thanks again for joining us. We'll look forward to seeing you again at the next Reconvene sessions. Take care.